like we've been saying, that a lot of stories, the pendulum has swung one way, viewers, to the point of pessimism or bearishness right now, and ignoring some of the good news and commentary. So therefore, we are trying to get companies to understand how confident or not confident are they about the short, medium, and the long term with regards to their business. And a very important voice with regards to, on that topic, on the topic of energy transition, wind energy, and Suzlon itself, Mr. JP Chalsani, CEO of the Suzlon Group, Johnson, right now on the show. Mr. Chalsani, thanks so much for joining in and taking the time out. Really appreciate your time this morning. Neeraj here, good morning. With
Thanks,
me, Alex,
Neeraj,
of course.
Good morning.
I'd love to understand, sir, there is some, because the times are tough, right? Small misses get thought of as big ones. And I would love to understand whether you believe that the delay of signing of PPAs, slowdown in power demand reflected with Coal India's lower offtake, does all of this spell some gloom, or do you believe this is a passing phase?
Yeah, Neeraj, the power sector can never be looked at from the point of view of 1 quarter, 2 quarters. Okay, power sector is always a long term. As long as the country is growing, power sector will continue to grow because your elasticity between GDP growth and power growth is almost 1. So there is no question of the power demand coming down at all. Okay, it will never happen. You can't look at as temporary blips here and there and say that power demand is coming down. That's number one. Number two is that the issue you talked about, PPA signing. Yes, there are a few concerns about accumulated the projects which have been LOI have been issued and PPA is not signed, but I think that's now happening because you also need to understand the process is that once the bidding is done, if the multi-state PPA, it goes to each state regulator, all the state regulators have to approve, then it goes to CRC to get it approved before the PPA is signed. There's a process because there's a sudden what you say accumulation of projects, you feel that way. But I don't think any of these issues are going to halt the energy transition targets what you put in, and we are right on the track.
Okay, here's my question, sir. There were a lot of targets laid out, right, for wind and for overall energy transition till FY30, etc. You believe the country is on track for that? Because I'll tell you where the small, not a dichotomy, but a lesser understanding to mere mortals like us versus you comes in. We look at the guidance provided by companies like you or some of your peers. Maybe that gives visibility till FY26, till FY27, and then there are targets set up till FY30, and nobody knows what happens in that period between 27 and 30. So I would love to understand from you, while your con calls give an idea about what is likely going to happen till FY27, your answer right now tells us that don't look at it on a quarterly basis. Is there some soundbite or some thoughts that you can lay out for us for what happens beyond FY27 as well?
Neeraj, let's divide it into two parts. You can always look at quarterly basis for a company-specific issues. Okay, that's fine. You know, all our stakeholders want to see us quarter-on-quarter basis. We are more than willing to talk about quarter-on-quarter basis. But when you look at the sector level, the 2030 targets are well laid down. All of us know 500 gigawatts of renewable energy. Out of that, 100 gigawatts is wind, 400 gigawatts is solar. Wind today we are almost at about 48.5 gigawatts today. Let's say an inch towards 50 gigawatts by the end of this year. Obviously, that there are 5 years left out and 50 gigawatts more to be added. Needs a run rate of 10 gigawatts per year. The question everybody needs to ask is that, okay, today we are running at 3.54. For example, this year till about Feb, we did about 2.7 gigawatts, might touch around anywhere between 3.5 to 4. And what level do we reach? Do we reach 100 gigawatt? Do we reach somewhere close by striking range? There are different estimates of what is going to happen. If you look at the latest CRISIL estimate, which came out last week, they're talking about from next year onwards, it will double to 7 gigawatts in a year. If you take 7 gigawatts in a year, we reach 85 gigawatts. Okay, but 7 for a couple of years, run it, and then subsequently go to 8, 8.5, you will touch 90. In my opinion, we gave guidance earlier also, is that we think it will be anywhere between 80 to 90 gigawatts we should be able to reach. But 2030 is not a full stop. It's a comma. We still have targets till 2032. We have targets till 2047. Okay, this will continue. Only thing is that ramp up, maintain that consistency, and the wind sector will continue to grow for the next couple of decades. I have no doubts about that because the country needs that power, not just the wind, the power needed and renewable energy is required. So there could be a temporary blips here and there. There could be temporary frustrations. People keep saying things are not moving, but on a long-term basis, I don't see any concern in this.
Okay. Do you, Mr. Chalsani, do you reckon that as a nation we can do more than 5 gigawatts per annum? Do we have the capacity to do that? Do we reach 7-8 gigawatts per annum? And when do we do that?
Neeraj, FY 17, as a country, we did 5.5 gigawatts.
Okay.
Those are two megawatt turbines. If you convert them into 3 megawatt minimum, which is everybody is doing today, that capacity itself is equal to 8 gigawatts today. What we had done in FY 17 was 8 gigawatts. So it's a proven track record. It's a question of a temporary issues like your land getting delayed or your evacuation getting delayed is the issue. I don't think we have any issue on capabilities because since FY 17 to now, our actual execution capabilities, number of parties who are there to actually do the project execution has gone up significantly. So therefore, I don't think that's an issue. It's not an execution issue per se. It is more on ground resolving the issues like land, ROWs, and then your evacuation system coming on time. Those things are not a permanent issues. Yes, last couple of years we faced these issues, but with concerted efforts of all, including government and the players, you're actually seeing the results. In fact, the next year itself will start seeing the results. Then next year, definitely, whatever we do this year, I expect that next year we'll double the capacity.
Okay. Mr. Chalsani, Alex joining in as well. And your points are very well made. The challenge, as you pointed out, is on the land side. And I know that you've not jumped whole hog into offshore as an opportunity because there are challenges that exist there as well. But I'm just wondering, at some point, and I think there was an attempt that was made by the administration to maybe make it more lucrative. Do you think enough has been done? Do you think more can be done? And if it is that something that will significantly aid addition of capacity?
See, offshore is good to look at for us, and then it's a long-term goal. Is it going to move the needle in the next 5 years? I don't think so, because even today with two states where 500 plus 500 megawatt, we're thinking of doing it with viability gap funding. There are still concerns in the sector that even with the viability gap funding, do you get a tariff which will attract, or the tariff is declared already, 4.5 for Gujarat and 4 rupees for Tamil Nadu. At that tariff, the project become viable. And second is that the offshore, you need to do it, you need to have the size. So it's going to take time for us get into offshore and stabilize that. I don't think we will have any capacity addition coming from offshore before 2030. It is something which we can look at, between 2030 2047 to get added. Right now, it's not going to move the needle. So therefore, we are there. We have capabilities, but I think at this stage, the efforts are on to increase the significant capacity addition onshore, because in onshore we still have a huge amount of potential. At 116 meters hub height, our country's potential is 1,200 gigawatts. We are at 48 gigawatts today.
Wow. Okay.
So that's the potential what is available. So therefore, while we continue to put in efforts to see if we get onto the offshore, because offshore also gives you better PLFs, so therefore your intermittency comes down to some extent. But then we can't take our eye off of the main capacity addition going to happen in the next 5 years from the onshore wind turbine, business.
So 1,200 gigawatts is a potential. Of course, the target for 2030 is 100 gigawatts. So it's basically a small pail of water in an ocean, I guess. So, Mr. Chalsani, then my question is, and based on some of the commentary that you've given us today itself, that some of the challenges that you're facing in terms of acquisition of land or availability of land are being resolved even as we speak. And from that perspective then, your current order book, is it likely that the completion of those orders will get done on time, or is there likely to be a spillover right now, as things stand right now?
Yeah, our current order book has become like a one-day match. It depends upon what time you're talking, score keeps changing. Okay, as we speak itself, I think our score got changed by under 200 megawatts. As we said, at any point of time, the order book, what we will have backlog, will have a time schedule of 18 to 24 months. because that's what is the contractual time schedule for most of the contracts we had. So older contracts will get deleted, whatever we completed, new contracts get added. So therefore, entire capacity would get finished by 1824. But what will happen is that you keep adding new capacities. So at any point of time, you would have a visibility of next 18-24 months. Means like our order book is what you can see at any point of time is an order book which needs to be executed in from the date when we talk about 18-24 months.
Okay. So I have two questions rolled into one. So therefore, Mr. Chalsani, if the order book, and we love that comment about it being a one-day match. I mean, we hope it actually becomes 2020 soon and the quantum of orders goes up even more fast, but be that as it may. Jan order book at 5521 megawatts. Suffice to say that it gets executed by Jan 2027. And on the newer orders, I believe in the con call you said that you will focus on high quality orders beyond FY26 for better margins. Can you elaborate a bit on that?
Yeah, see, when we talk about high quality, it is we need to define the parameters by quality. Normally, people look at high quality means that better margins alone, but better margins alone is not high quality. High quality orders are the ones which there is the complete certainty that projects will go through. So and then who is a counterparty, and counterparty risk is the least. And then more importantly, also we are also looking at is that are we not just in terms of making a business of wind turbine supply, are we actually helping in terms of carbon footprint reduction in the country? Okay. So I think there are a number of factors. For example, if we see that today's order what we did for JSPL's subsidiary, General Renewables, 900 megawatt is what we signed till date, okay? Which is the single largest C&I order for us, and entirely going towards making the steel green. Okay? So I think this is what is the quality of orders when I mean. One side is that counterparty is very strong, and second thing is that the generation what our turbines are going to give is going towards reducing the carbon footprint is one. So therefore, the C&I would continue to be our focus area, which is today 60% of our order book. The other focus area obviously is going to be the public sector. You know that we have the largest single order of NTPC, then we bid for one more project in NTPC, and the other, PSOs are coming with bids. That's going to be other area where we again feel that they are very quality orders. And the third, in the IPP sector, we look at projects are where the PPAs are signed. Every single project, what we are 20% of our order book is the bid PPAs. The entire megawatt, what we got order book is PPAs signed. So therefore, we are looking at one is improving our margins, and second is matching with the time schedule what we can actually deliver. Third is it's adding to the carbon footprint reduction for a specific sectors where we feel happy about it. Fourth is these projects would actually happen on the timelines without much of a thing. Otherwise, you can have a large order book and you keep looking at it, but you don't know whether it'll happen in 24 months or 36 months or 48 months.
Yeah. It looks good on paper, but that's all it looks like, right? So, but Mr. Chalsani, I wanted to ask you also, we've spoken about the potential of the domestic market, but from your perspective, you would also have an eye on the globe and the opportunities from the exports perspective. Can you lay that out for us also in terms of what your outlook is in the near term and perhaps over the course of the next 2 to 3 to 4 years?
See, obviously, when we look at Indian market for us, it looks great. We have increased our manufacturing capacity from around 3.3 when I met last time nearest here in our campus today to 4.5 gigawatts. Okay, and which we can further increase. So our aim would be, in fact, I told him that day is that our aim should be not the market share, but can we actually deliver 80 to 90% of our manufacturing capacity? Well, India is growing, will continue to grow, but when we are growing and when things look good, is the time for us to look at what next, okay? Not when you hit a roadblock. Because at that point of time, you will take decisions out of desperation. So this is the time for us to start thinking about what happens a couple of years down the line. Obviously, the geographical expansion with the least risk could be one of the possibilities for evaluation at this stage. We're not saying that we're not getting into it. We have an experience earlier, we have done it earlier. We also have a lessons learned from earlier, whatever we have done. So therefore, there is a good potential outside today. We are looking at each market, evaluating each of the markets, whether it is US or Europe or neighboring countries. It looks very exciting. And also more important is that the number of European companies today are exporting from India. Okay? Huge capacity is getting exported. We believe with a reasonable confidence that our manufacturing cost is lower than anybody else in India. And if they can export and still make margins and they are competitive in external market, we believe that directionally it shows us that we would definitely be competitive. So therefore, that's obviously we will look at it, but without taking our eye away from the domestic market.
Mr. Chalsani, thanks so much for joining us this morning and for giving us the perspective that you did. Absolute pleasure having you on the program.
Thank you so much.